As I woke up this morning, I asked myself, what are the valuable lessons that I can learn from what's going on in the world today? We have a deadly virus putting everything on pause and dispersing throughout the globe like a wildfire. Meanwhile, quarantine, lockdown, social distancing, no jobs and no schools, anxiety on elevation while solitude is on new adaptation. I'm just here to tell you to hold on, stay in and stay safe. Like MJ, put on your mask and your gloves and let's beat it. Soon we shall overcome and celebrate better days ahead. Please allow me to paint you a brighter picture. Please let me share with you the positive side of the agony that we have been enduring. Ever since the world shut down, we've had less pollution and nature has been flourishing. Ever since Corona started, many nations at war have ceased fire. Now imagine the peace it brought to the heart of children in war zones all across the world. Yemen, South Sudan, Syria, Ukraine, Cameroon, and many other places. Black or white, Buddhist or atheist, harmony in different languages, religion and science. Yes, we can all coexist and express love, cause it's the answer. It's the only way to go. It's the only thing that brings us. It's a beautiful thing that heals us. It's a wonderful thing that takes us higher, brings us closer. Don't deny it, just embrace it. Express it, express it, express it. One love, eh. Let it flow across the globe. Eh. One love. Let it flow across the globe. One love. Now when we do go back to school, remember there are kids in other parts of the world who haven't seen a classroom in years due to war or poverty. Now when we do get back to normal, take it easy. Life is not a race. The most important thing is not money. The most important thing is the memories that we create while living. So cherish them. Be compassionate. Treat others with respect. Help someone in need if you can. Now when we do get back to normal, remember to salute a healthcare worker because they are the unsung heroes. Thank you. I'm gonna be a better me and celebrate life. And love is what I'm gonna use to elevate. I promise I'ma shed away the negative weight. World peace, that's all I wanna propagate. It's the only thing that brings us. It's a beautiful thing that heals us. It's a wonderful thing that takes us higher, brings us closer. Don't deny it, just embrace it. Express it, express it, express it. One love, eh. Let it flow across the globe. Eh. One love, eh. Let it flow across the globe. Eh. One love.
Wow, that was awesome. What did you guys think? One love. You can do better than that. What did you guys think? Now we're talking. So you just heard MDG, and it recognizes the pain and the trauma that the world has gone through over the last couple of years. But it's still positive, and it points us all out to a bright future. So thank you, Mr. Bangura. And I have to give him a shout out, because I'm reading my notes, and I see he's from Sierra Leone. Is that correct? He's from Sierra Leone, and so am I. So let's hear it for the Sierra Leoneans. So everybody, my name is Hawa Maria Diallo. I am the chief of the Civil Society Unit at the United Nations Department of Global Communications here at the UN headquarters. I proudly serve the United Nations. I proudly serve the United Nations and have been doing that for about 34 years. I started in kindergarten, in case you're wondering. And I support the advocacy and the communication efforts of the United Nations to really engage with civil society in spreading awareness about the UN's work. I especially work with youth-led organizations from across the globe, especially in the Global South. So it's a pleasure really for me to be here with you today. Welcome to the United Nations. So let's get the show on the road. Mr. Deputy Permanent Representative of the Mission of Nigeria to the United Nations, members of the board of the African Renaissance and Diaspora Network, Arden, Queen Makahezi, who came all the way from South Africa to be with us here today. Honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the United Nations. As we celebrate Africa and Africa Day 2022. Now, the younger ones, I'm going to include myself there too, amongst us, might not know that Africa Day, May 25, marks the date in 1963 when 30 newly independent African countries came together in Addis Ababa to form the Organization of African Unity. It's an important date, and today, while we are in this glorious chamber, take a look at it around us. It's really ironic as well. This is the Trusteeship Council. It's a part of the UN, an organ in a room that has played an essential role in African countries and many other countries around the world in terms of gaining their independence. Now, I started my work at the UN as a tour guide. I used to talk about this room all the time. If I remember, this is the room from, I hope, Denmark. Am I correct? There are some tour guides here. And you have the beautiful statue, which is over here on the side, which is really symbolic of people rising from non-self-governing statehood to independence. Now, I'm talking a lot, but I'm really not here to make speeches. I'm really here to guide you along this journey today and to get the show on the way. And I will get started by calling on Honorable Constance Newman, Chair of the Board of Arden, and former Assistant Secretary General of State for Africa in the Bush administration here in the United States. She will make her remarks with us today via video.
Welcome to the African Renaissance and Diaspora Network Africa Day celebration. It makes sense for all of us to celebrate the founding of the predecessor to the African Union. It makes sense for all of us to celebrate the continent with the greatest promise for the future. It makes sense for us to consider with the youth important sustainable development goals. And in these trying times, it makes sense for us to join together the people of the world in a positive, pleasant occasion. This year's program of Arden, the African Renaissance and Diaspora Network, and with our partners, dedicated to the youth and the young adults of Africa and the diaspora. You may ask, why should Africa Day be dedicated to the youth and the young adults? Well, I'm going to share 4 reasons. First one, the youth and young adults of Africa and the diaspora have something of interest to say. All of us can learn from them because they often have to offer new ideas about social activism, music, art, fashion, unique fabric designs, dance, cuisines, sporting accomplishments, and technological advancement. Second reason, today over 70% of the population of sub-Saharan Africa are under the age of 30. There is simply strength in numbers. The third reason, we must understand the youth's legitimate concerns about ensuring the health and well-being of all. And as the theme of our Red Card campaign vows, the elimination of gender disparities, which deny millions and millions, women and girls, the opportunities for self-realization. And the fourth reason is the promise for the future is our youth. Therefore, they must be given the opportunity to be a part of the solution. They must have a seat at all tables. They must be a part of the serious discussions about the relationship between culture and development. What is to be turned away and kept in the development of leaders, and how to be an effective partner in the complicated interrelated world of which they are to be critical contributors. So I encourage one and all to join this celebration of Africa Day, to learn from and at the same time enjoy hearing from the youth and the young adults of Africa and the diaspora. And now for the program.
Newman. A big thank you goes to Ms. Newman. Really, her remarks have set the tone for the rest of the event. I thank her for really putting a spotlight on the young people on the continent and making all those linkages that are so important in supporting their leadership and civic participation. Now, I really have a really big honor to call the next speaker, the president and the CEO of Arden, to welcome you all to this event. It's really special to me because Jibril Diallo really has been a pillar, not only of the United Nations for many years, but in the lives of many people like myself. At the UN, proving himself to be a leader when he was with UNICEF, UNDP, the Office for Youth and Sports, as the chief advisor to the executive officer of UNAIDS, and he himself becoming the head of the regional office for UNAIDS in Western and Central Africa. I don't think that he would mind me saying that he came from a humble background, not from wealth. His mother struggled to get him an education, and at the same point, his thirst for knowledge and innate abilities took him forward. He really is a special person to me. I hope I don't get emotional. And I think a special person in the lives, as I said, of so many people, because he's always there supporting, giving advice, mentoring, putting other people's desires and aspirations before himself. And that's what makes him really the man that he is. So I now give the floor to my colleague, but most important to me, my biggest mentor, Dr. Jibril Diallo.
Thank you very much for that warm welcome. It's amazing to have each and every one of you be here today, because the last time I had the opportunity to speak to you physically here at the United Nations headquarters was on Friday, 5th of March, 2020. 6 p.m. on that day, many of you will remember the United Nations was closed due to COVID-19. And since then, the United Nations has remained closed due to all the situations that we all know about. And this is one of the first major gatherings that are happening. And it's not by chance that the last event that happened before the United Nations closed was an event to launch the red card, to give a red card to all forms of discrimination and violence against women and girls. We will come back to that in a moment. And the second one, and very important one, is to celebrate Africa, the birth of humanity. So that those are two meaningful words, which I wanted to make sure that we take them into account by, first of all, addressing my appreciations to you, Your Excellencies, to you, the honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, our wonderful and outstanding moderator, our Diallo, here present. It is therefore my great pleasure, on behalf of the African Renaissance and Diaspora Network, to welcome you to this 2022 edition of Africa Day. And I'm so glad that we have this opportunity to connect in person. Africa Day, as was mentioned before, commemorates the day when, in 1963, the countries which were independent then at the time, 30 countries, got together and formed what was called the Organization of African Unity, OAU. They signed that charter. And now, let me again come back to one point that the moderator mentioned, which is we chose to have the celebrations in this room because this room has a lot of meanings. The Trusteeship Council chambers. The Trusteeship Council chambers was established by the United Nations to oversee the decolonization of the then dependent territories from colonial times. There were 11 territories, not just from Africa, a majority were from Africa, but 11 territories that were placed under the trusteeship system. And these included territories now which are part of modern Nigeria, modern Cameroon, Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania, Togo, Ghana, and Somalia, all of which, when they were independent, became original members of the Organization of African Unity. As was mentioned before, we decided that this edition of Africa Day will be dedicated to the youth of Africa and to the youth of the diaspora. Very, very important element, because the youth are not the leaders of tomorrow, they're the leaders of today. That's why we wanted to recognize them, not just in terms of the physical continent of Africa, but also the diaspora, because as you know, the African Union has declared the diaspora as the 6th region of Africa. We at the African Renaissance and Diaspora Network want to reinforce that and make sure that we breathe life into it so that to have the youth be here is very, very important, and that is within the framework of the ARDN Red Card campaign. Women's rights are human rights. And in the game of football, what you call in the United States, in the game of soccer, when you have a red card, that symbolizes significant infraction of the rules. And as you know, when you have a red card, what happens? You get thrown out of the field. So we want to throw out of the field any kind of form of discrimination and violence against women and girls. The ARDN Red Card recognizes that gender-based violence and discrimination in all its manifestations are serious violations of human rights, and they have no place in and off the football field. In this light, today's celebrations are particularly focused upon celebrating the promise, celebrating the power, and celebrating the potential of women and girls, as well as highlighting efforts by young people to uplift and empower women and girls. Fittingly, as was mentioned, I would like to draw your attention to that wooden statue on the right side of this chamber. It depicts a young girl with arms upraised and a bird hovering with outspread wings above her head. The statue, which was given by Denmark, symbolizes humankind and hope. Indeed, young women carry the hope of humankind. This was true when these chambers were built, and this is true today. And in this connection, I would like to politely ask you to stand up, please. I would like you to do the following, please. You can join hands, elbows, fists, or spirits. Whichever you are most comfortable with. And close your eyes, please. We're going to commit to a moment of silence to do everything possible, individually and collectively, to make sure that the day of violence and discrimination against women and girls is the day to be erased from the face of this planet. Thank you. You may be seated. The hope of humankind on the African continent, the African diaspora in every corner of the world, is around the red card. So I would like you to do me a favor. Pick up your cell phones, please, and look at the red card. And do me a favor, it takes 1 minute, and sign your pledge. www.redcardpledge.com. We need 1 million signatures, and your presence here, and the presence of those who are watching us online, because this event is being webcast worldwide, will also make that difference. Please take a minute and sign your pledge. www.redcardpledge.com. Speaking of hope, one of the highlights of today's agenda is the unveiling of the Red Card campaign theme song. The song is produced by our ARDN Goodwill Ambassador, Abbas Mubarak Akeju, here present. And the song features 5 powerful young women who have come together to lend their vision and their voice to inspire us to create the Africa, the world that we all want. Which world do we want? We want a world where no one is left behind. We in the African Renaissance and Diaspora Network believe that young people are the leaders of today. And today, we will also hear stories of 8 pace setters for development. Young women and men who are working to create a better Africa, a better world. I would like to share with you, finally, the elements that compose the African Renaissance and Diaspora Network, an international NGO headquartered in New York with partnership agreements with the United Nations. Our job is to try and popularize the Sustainable Development Goals in Africa and the diaspora using 4 entry points. Very quickly. 1, partnership with the youth, strengthening the ties between the youth of Africa and the youth of the diaspora. Number 2, bridging the gender gap. The United Nations has determined that no country in the world treats its women as well as it does its men, 193 countries. So we've got to fight the apartheid of gender as forcefully as we fought apartheid in South Africa. So bridging the gender gap. Number 3, education, improving the quality of education, especially higher education. Number 4, mayors as a peg around which we articulate our initiatives by having sister city relations. When you have all of those, they should be wrapped around a very strong communication strategy. The Africa that we see very often in the international media is not the Africa that we would want to see. And that's why we're very, very happy to have here a major CNN correspondent from the daughter of Africa, Zain Asher, here from CNN, here present. We want to have the Africa of the Islands of Hope, in addition to the other Africa which is there. So the communication strategy is very, very important. Finally, I would like to thank the co-sponsors of this major event. To start with, the permanent mission of Nigeria to the United Nations under the leadership of Ambassador Tijani Mohamed Bande, and the mission is ably represented here by Minister Plenipotentiary Namdi Okechukwu Nze, here present. Let's welcome, please. We have also the African Union, the permanent observer mission of the African Union to the United Nations, under the leadership of Ambassador Fatima Kiari Mohammed, and the African Union here is represented by Mohamed Bagobiri, Political Affairs Officer. Welcome again another time. The Executive Director of UNFPA, Dr. Natalia Kanem, has been a great supporter of the African Renaissance and Diaspora Network, and she will be represented through a video message by Dr. Jene Keita, who is the Deputy Executive Director of UNFPA. UN Women, too, will be represented by the Deputy Executive Director through a video message. UNDP Africa has been a very strong partner under the leadership of Assistant Secretary General Ahuna Ezekonwa. And UN Habitat is also a co-sponsor of ARDN's activities under the leadership of the Executive Director Maimouna Maud Sharif. Again, Hawa Diallo and her team worked tirelessly to make this happen. I would like to thank you, Hawa, and your team of the UN Department of Global Communications for your partnership. Thank you very much again. We have Queen Makadzi, who's traveled all the way from South Africa. She's on her way here, and she is the queen that has come all the way from South Africa to be our special guest, and she's coming over, so I want to thank you again and welcome you, Queen Makadzi. We will have during the program, all the way from Central America, Her Excellency F.C. Campbell Ba, who is the member of the newly formed United Nations Permanent Forum for People of African Descent, and she was the former first vice president of the Republic of Costa Rica. So she will be connecting with us, a black woman occupying that high position from the perspective of the diaspora, F.C. Campbell Ba. We will also have Uli Keita, the executive director of Youth Connect Africa, who will be speaking to us from Rwanda. Of course, I would like to also thank the president of Berkeley College, Dr. Diane Resinos. We're very, very happy to have you. Please stand up so that we can just recognize you, please. Thank you. Thank you very much. And Dr. Resinos has been ably supported, and also contributions made by the senior advisor of ARDN on celebrities and the private sector engagement, Buzi Matsiko, here present. Buzi, thank you very much again. And we have now the honor to give the welcome to Queen Makadzi another way. Thank you very much. And as I said, we have introduced the Goodwill Ambassador of ARDN, Akeju, here present, who will be speaking in a moment. And with that, again, I would like to thank each and every one of you, because as they say in my home language in Africa, when you start naming names, you're always in trouble because you always forget somebody. So at the United Nations, we say, all protocol observed. So we have observed all protocol. Thank you very much, and Hawa, over to you, please.
Thank you so much, Jibril. Thanks for really putting a spotlight on the work of ARDN and for really giving us an idea of what the pillars are. And as I was listening to you, one thing really came to my mind. I kept seeing you mentioning strong and powerful women and the fact that, we need to uplift women around the world, especially in the global south, especially in the continent. And, all those UN agencies you mentioned, each and every one of them, they're headed by strong women. So I want to think that the UN is getting it right, that we're doing something right. Now, your words were very inspiring, and it's clear that although you've transitioned from your career and your work at the United Nations, Jibril, your mission continues, serving Africa, serving people of African descent, serving people of the world. Give it up, you all. You can do better than that. For me, it's clear that, you are an international civil servant to the bone because your work doesn't stop. I had the privilege of visiting Senegal a couple of months ago, and I saw Jibril Diallo in action, and I just kept saying, what am I doing in America? What am I doing? I've got to come here in Senegal and join the network. So I know that, as we say here, you put your money where your mouth is. He gets the job done. So thank you so much for your selfless service, and thank you really for giving us hope. Now, Jibril mentioned that we are live, so we are on UN Web TV. We're also beaming on YouTube. So please use the hashtag. I think it's on all of our screens in front of us. Hashtag ARDN Red Card. Let's take this message outside Trusteeship Council. Let's get it out there. Let's kick it out of this room and make sure we spread the message around with your help. Now I want to call on the representative of the Permanent Observer of the African Union mission to the United Nations, Mr. Mohamed Bogobiri, to deliver his message. Over to you, Mr. Bogobiri.
Thank you, Hawa, and thank you very much, Jibril. It is an honor for us to be here to receive your invitation. And I must confess the ARDN, the African Renaissance Diaspora Network, they have been complementing the work of the African Union. So I wish to congratulate Mr. Jibril for a very job well done for all that he's been doing. Can you just give him a round of applause, please? Yes, thank you. It is an honor to be invited here. And although my Ambassador Fatima, she wanted to come, but of course she's currently hosting another Africa Day event in a different venue. So, but she has this statement, which I am going to present right now. Thank you. Brothers and sisters of Africa and the diaspora, ladies and gentlemen, on May 25th of every year, we commemorate the birth of the OAU, a unique time in history when 25 African heads of states established our continental organization. Since the establishment of the African Union 20 years later, we continue to pursue the ambition laid out by our founding fathers to the Africa we want. Our continental framework, Agenda 2063, founded on the AU vision of an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa, driven by its own citizens and presenting a dynamic force in the international arena, remains the blueprint for achieving our ambitions. The AU theme of this year, 2022, is strengthening resilience in nutrition and food security on the African continent, strengthening agro-food systems, health and social protection systems for the acceleration of human, social, and economic capital development. That's quite a long theme. This theme is particularly pertinent today. As we mark this day, we also recognize our citizens from all over the world, and especially our youth, for the immense contributions they have made for Africa and the world at large. Dear citizens, ladies and gentlemen, permit me here to say a few words about our youth and some of the AU's initiatives towards youth development. Africa is the youngest population in the world, with more than 400 million young people aged between the ages of 15 to 35 years. A youthful population such as this certainly calls for increased investments in economic and social development factors in order to improve the development index of African nations. The AU has developed quite a number of youth policies and programs with the aim of ensuring Africa benefits from its demographic dividend. These policies, as you are most aware, include the African Youth Charter, Youth Decade Plan of Action, and the Malabo Decision on Youth Empowerment, all of which were implemented through the AU Agenda 2063 programs. As agents of change and the largest population of the youth ever, African youth are the architects of the future. It is therefore crucial to support them, to co-create with them, and to ensure gender inclusivity at every stage so that collective progress is achieved without anyone being left behind. It is vital for the younger generation, especially the women, to recognize and explore their potential through meaningful inclusion and participation across sectors for the benefit of continent and our diaspora. We believe that we should commit ourselves more to harmonizing our efforts to enhance our youth productivity in order to advance socioeconomic development in our continent. And as we celebrate today, we should look towards more coordinated and concerted actions towards accelerating youth empowerment and development in line with the Decade of Action as espoused in Agenda 2063 and in line with the Agenda 2030 of the United Nations. With this few remarks, I wish all Africans of the continent and of the diaspora a happy anniversary. God bless Africa. Thank you.
Hand it over to Jibril. I think I'm going to take a break now and pass it to the able Jibril. Should I continue? Okay. I'm a woman. My talking points say something else, but I'm going to jump right into it. So thank you so much for your words, Mr. Babogiri. I now pass the floor to the Mr. Nnamdi Okuchukwu, the Minister of the Permanent Mission of Nigeria to the United Nations. I'm from Sierra Leone. I don't think I did a good job in that. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Hawa. Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear sisters and brothers, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Let me begin by thanking Jibril and his team in ARDN for organizing this very event and for the hard work and passion for Africa and indeed the Africans in diaspora. It's been such a wonderful period of time and effort to promote Africa wherever you go. We sincerely appreciate your effort. My ambassador and PR would have been here today, but at the last minute he had an urgent need to represent the sovereign somewhere outside of New York, and has asked me to deliver this statement on his behalf. I have the honor to deliver these remarks on the celebration of the 2022 African Day. African Day is a day set aside to celebrate and acknowledge the successes of the defunct Organization of African Unity, now AU, from its creation on May 25, 1963, with the ultimate objective of liberating Africa from the yoke of colonialism, apartheid, and racism. While the first two have been achieved, we are yet to eradicate racism. which has cast a blight on our humanity. Thus, the eradication of racism and racial discrimination will continue to be our objective as a people, and will continue to define our common humanity. This day is significant in many respects. One, it reinforces African solidarity, unity in diversity, common strategy to challenges, and consolidate successes, and the economic potential of the continent and its people. And through this day, awareness and consciousness is raised about the situation in Africa and the determination of its people to be liberated politically, economically, and socially. The theme of this year's celebration, strengthening resilience in nutrition and food security on the African continent, strengthening agro-food systems, health and social protection systems for the acceleration of human, social, and economic capital development is quite apt, because no country or continent can develop without first being able to feed its people. Over the last decades, Africa has grown more dependent on imported agricultural goods instead of developing its own. We can reverse this trend through management of the food value chain that enhances professional job opportunities for people that offer them decent living and career. What can be more rewarding and contributing to feeding your own population and making a nation resilient against external shocks? As we mark this important day of ours, let me first and foremost pay tribute to our fallen African heroes and heroines who paid the ultimate price in the struggle for independence, liberation of the continent, and AU peace support missions in pursuit for peace and security in the continent in order to attain the African vision of an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa. Excellencies and distinguished guests, on 31st January 2015, the African Union Assembly adopted Agenda 2063, a historical grand long-term plan for our economic and social development in pursuit of an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa that is driven by its own citizens. Through the adoption of this blueprint for our development, our leaders were issuing a clarion call for us to come together as Africans and work collectively to build a common future that is free from fear and free from want. They were setting us clearly on the path towards the Africa we want. The food crisis that have been triggered by the COVID-19 pandemic, droughts in most parts of Africa, insecurity that we see, perennial water scarcity, and of course, the recent war in Ukraine is a stark reminder that we Africans must take responsibility for feeding our populations. It is so sad to note that Africa, with vast arable land and favorable climate, imports agricultural products worth over $60 billion every year. If Africa were self-sufficient, it could deploy or finance long-term investments with these funds. As we continue to pursue this path, it is with a sober recognition that the journey is not smooth and without challenges. Today, the reality of instability and conflict are compounded by climate change and the unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic, which no doubt affected the African continent and the world at large. What seems to be lacking, no doubt, is the political action to produce the necessary change. COVID-19 pandemic was a wake-up call, demonstrating the need for Africans to develop resilience in the health and social protection sectors. We must use this opportunity to promote long-term solutions to Africans' food dependence. The unfortunate reality is that for many years, the media also have been painting a negative image of the continent. We need more reporting on the positive stories and the progress that is taking place all across the continent. For example, global media reports are scant about the myriad innovative solutions African entrepreneurs have implemented to overcome the pandemic. Excellencies, distinguished guests, as we celebrate African Day in this challenging environment, let us acknowledge that climate crisis is not simply an environmental crisis. It is also fundamentally a crisis that threatens the sovereignty of member states and, in many ways, the fundamental freedoms and human rights of our people. It threatens our way of life and who we are as Africans. It also threatens our food security. It is a certainty that unless decisive measures are taken to address the issue of climate change, the disruption caused by human actions to the natural world will lead to more pandemics in the future and exacerbate poverty and food crisis. Of importance is imperative to enhance our preparedness and capacity for response. Distinguished guests, Africa is richly endowed with vast human and natural resources, which, if harnessed in accordance with our vision, the Agenda 2063 will improve the livelihood of people of Africa through the rapid eradication of hunger, poverty, and disease. As I conclude, African Day has become a day of celebration for Africans and people of African descent all over the world, and has even morphed into African Month, which is celebrated throughout the month of May. I would like to take the liberty to join all Africans to celebrate this day. The day is also an opportunity to reflect on the progress made by the African Union in achieving its goals, especially with regard to protecting the human rights and freedoms of Africans. Same as last year, 2021, the commemoration of Africa Day in 2022 comes at a rather difficult time with challenges posed by COVID-19 pandemic, armed conflict, climate change, violent extremism all over Africa, or some parts of Africa, terrorism, poverty, and hunger. Our message today will therefore focus on the need to find and amplify innovative solutions that are aimed at addressing challenges on the continent. Africa has had its fair share of armed conflict, and now is the time to put an end to such and focus on our development. As a continent, Africa should capitalize on its potential and leverage on its endowments. We should draw inspiration from our youth population that has the potential to change the narrative. On this African Day, let us dedicate ourselves to fruitful partnerships in pursuit of peace and sustainable progress for all the continents of people. We must work together as a people in the continent to overcome our prevailing challenges, which include combating health issues, poverty, climate change, ecological issues, hunger, economic freedom, improving the quality of education, and mediating in civil wars, amongst others. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Namdi, for your thought-provoking statement. It's now my pleasure to welcome Ms. Zain Asha, news anchor from CNN, to give her remarks. Over to you, Zain.
Okay. Thank you so much, Hawa. Thank you so much, Jibril. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So I want to start by sharing a story that had a real significant impact on me. And that is, back in March, I was on a flight from Lagos to Atlanta, and I was speaking with one of the flight attendants. It was a Delta flight. And he said to me that one of the strangest things about flying out of Africa, especially Lagos, he said, was that there are comparatively a higher number of deaths that take place on the flight compared to flying out of other regions in the world. And I said to him, what do you mean by that? And he said that there are a lot of people who leave, for example, Lagos and head to the United States for a medical procedure, say, for example, and they don't make it to the United States and they end up passing away on the flight. He also said that with that, there also there happens to be a lot of medical emergencies that take place on the flight as well. So, for example, you might have a woman who is 9.5 months pregnant, who boards a flight headed to America, hoping, of course, to give birth in the United States so that the child is American. And he's seen it before where, you know, she ends up giving birth on the flight. And of course, generally speaking, not always, your child gets a citizenship from wherever the child is born. And so the plane has to make an emergency landing. Is what happened to him in Liberia. Therefore, instead of the child having American citizenship, the child was Liberian. So he said that deaths and medical emergencies on flights out of Africa were just far more prominent and far more frequent compared to flying out of Europe. And as I listened to him say that, I just thought it was one of the saddest things I'd ever heard. This idea that everything in the Western world must be better, that I would rather risk my life, get on a flight out of Africa when I'm 40 weeks pregnant in order for my child to be born anywhere but here. And it really made me sit and think. You know, we are all aware and we all talk about the vibrancy and the dynamism and the young population and the continent's vast potential. But as we are writing Africa's future, how do we make sure that everybody partakes in that future? As many of us still cling to this old notion that we must give birth to our children abroad, we must educate them abroad, we must care for our health abroad, we must buy our clothes from abroad. But the fact is, and we have to remember that everything that we've come to value and love about abroad would not even be possible without Africa. Africa has sustained and powered everything we crave about the Western lifestyle. If you live in America and you drink coffee, if you drink tea, if you have a cell phone, if you eat chocolate, if you wear a wedding ring, if you ride a bicycle, if you drive a car, if you play computer games, so much of the lifestyle that the Western world has come to love and depend on is powered by Africa. And yet those opportunities and the wealth from those opportunities are not trickling down to those who need it. But from the moment we wake up, especially if you live here in America, you reach and you switch off your alarm, you turn on your cell phones, you scroll through, you reach for your cup of coffee, you drive to work, you switch on your laptop in the offices. Africa is responsible. Africa is behind all of it. So how do we make sure that Africans can share in that? Firstly, it starts, of course, with education. We are all aware that there are millions of children across the continent who spend their days hacking the earth with picks and chisels, looking for gold or diamonds instead of going to school. Or the countless children who risk and fear being kidnapped in places like northeastern Nigeria for the mere act of showing up to school on a Monday morning. So either we reaffirm our commitments to keeping schools safe and keeping children in school, or we also additionally provide alternative learning centers. And to add to that, we also have to ask ourselves, what is the loss? What is the loss when a Congolese child stops going to school so they can work in a coltan mine, or an Ivorian child gives up a promising future as a nurse to harvest cocoa? What have we lost by squandering that potential? Have we lost a cure for cancer? Have we lost a solution to climate change? Secondly, we need to build a crop of leaders that can harness the continent's potential. And I'm not just talking about political leaders, but also leaders across all segments of society. To be frank, leaders who are genuinely motivated by public good instead of by self-interest. And thirdly, governments need to create the right environment to allow businesses to thrive and create jobs and opportunities that trickle down to the masses instead of just the middle class. So we don't have an environment where flight attendants on Delta are complaining that Africans are dying at a much higher rate in their desperation to leave their country. Thank you.
I wanted to make sure that we acknowledge the work that is being done by Zain Asher as a news anchor at prime time, which is quite unusual. She is she's a journalist. If work has to be done, she has to do it as a journalist. But at least she has an African perspective, which breathed fresh air into an international media organization like Cable News Network. So I want to again thank Jane Asher. She is also an author. She published a book recently, which is making its way. So on both sides, we want to acknowledge you and we want to recognize you and we want to thank you, Jane Asher. Thank you. So I understand that you may have some other commitments which may prevent you from staying with us longer than you are.
Yeah, I have to pick up my children. So I have to go. Sorry.
All right. Thank you again. Thank you very much again, Zain Asher, for being with us today. And wonderful, thank you. It is now my pleasure to give the floor to the Goodwill Ambassador of the African Renaissance and Diaspora Network, who has worked tirelessly to put together the theme song for ARDN. Without further ado, I'd like to give you the floor. Akeju, please.
Thank you. First, I would like to say a big thank you to Dr. Jibril and the entire ARDN team for the opportunity to serve. Thank you, sir. We must all stand together and say no to all forms of violence and discrimination against women and girls. That's why we came up with this new initiative, the ARDN Red Card campaign song titled Stop Violence and Discrimination, featuring Wendy Shea from Ghana, Nukembo Zikodi from South Africa, Spice Diana from Uganda, Perola from Angola, Soera Ramos from Cape Verde. Stop Violence and Discrimination is now available on all online music stores. Please, let's support by streaming the song online. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you 2022 ARDN campaign song, Stop Violence and Discrimination, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Perola, and I'm a fearless musician from Angola. I'm very happy and excited to say that I took part of the official Red Card campaign song, Stop Violence and Discrimination. This campaign is about fighting all forms of discrimination and abuse against girls and women. We must all stand together and say that discrimination and abuse must stop. The beautiful song will be available online in all music stores by the 25th of May. So please download the song to support our campaign.
Hi everyone, hi Africa and to the rest of the world. My name is Spice Diana from Uganda 256 and I'm so honored to be part of the Red Card single project featuring different stars in Africa, and we are saying no to discrimination, to violence against women and girls in Africa. So this project is going to be out on the 25th of May on all digital platforms. Make sure you stream, make sure you pass on the message, because we are together in this. We are saying no to all sorts of discrimination and violence against women and girls in Africa. Stay blessed.
I'm Wendy Shea, a proud Ghanaian woman, and I support the Red Card campaign, an international initiative to fight against all forms of abuse and discrimination against girls and women. Growing up in my community, I saw women endure abuse and discrimination. Even though they support their families by taking care of their children, keeping up the household all while holding down stressful and demanding jobs that doesn't give them equal compensation as their male counterparts. Watching this unfair and unethical treatment of girls and women, I vowed to do everything in my power to help stop this gross treatment of girls and women. So I have lent my voice in support of the Red Card campaign song, Stop Violence and Discrimination, that will be released worldwide and premiered at the United Nations headquarters in New York on May 25th. So I urge each and every one of you to support this campaign by downloading the official campaign song, Stop Violence and Discrimination, available on all online music stores.
Hi, my name is Soraya Ramos. I'm from Cape Verde, and I'm also an advocate for the fair treatment of girls and women. I have lent my voice in support to the official Red Card campaign song, Stop the Violence and Discrimination. Please support our campaign by download Stop Violence and Discrimination, available on all online music stores.
All the women and girls have the right to be in this world filled with love. Ombemba Alessandro, Ochocha, Chikale Chiwa. We should focus on our matters so we can make them better. Queremos paz, proteção e amor. Dizer não ao sofrimento e a dor. É tudo acaba no Kutano Hali. É tudo acaba no Kutano Hali. If united we are, united we stand. We can be in a situation. If united we are, united we stand. We can be a stronger nation. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 This is now our time. Let us all stand up and love one another. This is now our time. Let us all stand up and be together.
So this is a special song that will be, and as of today, the theme song for the Red Card campaign, giving a red card to all forms of discrimination and violence against women and girls. Thank you to the producer. Thank you to the 5 artists, one of whom, Nonkebo, is also a goodwill ambassador of the African Renaissance and Diaspora Network. Thank you very much again, Akeju, our goodwill ambassador. It is now my pleasure to introduce, all the way from Rwanda, Uli Keita, the executive director of Youth Connect Africa. Should be live online from Kigali.
Members of the board of the African Renaissance and Diaspora Network, representatives of the African Union and member states, representatives of the United Nations, representatives of academia, civil society organizations, and the media, distinguished guests, all protocol observed. Good afternoon or good evening to some of us. On behalf of the Youth Connect Africa Hub, I would like to convey my sincere gratitude and appreciation to Dr. Jibril Jallo, the President and CEO of the African Renaissance and Diaspora Network, for inviting Youth Connect Africa to partake in this important Africa Day celebration at the United Nations. May 1963 is a significant date for the African continent. Our forefathers, such as Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, Modibo Keita of Mali, Sekou Touré of Conakry, and others have created the Organization for African Unity, which later became the African Union. Almost 60 years ago, they had the vision of uniting Africans as a people for political, social, and economic development. And today, Africans everywhere, whether in the diaspora or living on the continent, still hope for that same vision. Today, Africa is reaffirming this vision of continental unity as demonstrated by the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, AFCFTA. Africans are committed to peace, security, and sustainable development. We are making progress. To ensure we implement this continental vision in a sustainable manner, we must seriously take into account the most precious resource this continent has to offer, which is its young people. As Ms. Human mentioned in her welcome remarks, the youth represents 70% of the population in sub-Saharan Africa. This is indeed the driver for economic growth and development, a vehicle for creating millions of jobs, reduce poverty, and lift the standard of living for generations of Africans. To achieve the development that we seek, young people must be empowered to fulfill their potential and be able to participate in decision-making levels, at all levels. They must not simply be observers at the meetings of policy-making bodies. As a continent, we must harness this demographic dividend by investing in their education, their empowerment, providing them decent jobs, and encouraging entrepreneurship as a pathway to economic development. This is precisely why Youth Connect Africa was created, to connect young people to socio-economic transformation. Youth Connect Africa is a continental youth empowerment initiative that has been adopted by many African Union members with the desire to empower young people. Youth Connect Africa endeavors to harness the demographic dividend through investment in the youth. This mission is driven by our governments in Africa through national priorities and policies, and with great support from UNDP Regional Bureau for Africa and UNDP country offices. We have come a long way since we launched this initiative from a single country of Rwanda in 2012. We are now operating in 28 countries. These expansion efforts and scaling up of the Youth Connect Africa model is made possible thanks to the ownership of African governments and the great collaboration of UNDP. Our goal is to cover all the 55 member states of the African Union by 2025. The positive reception and ownership by national governments of the Youth Connect Africa model is due to its innovative and inclusive approach, bringing together governments, UN agencies, international organizations, non-state actors, the private sector, the diaspora, and the young people themselves at the center to provide them with the skills, the networks, the platforms, information, opportunities, and connections they need to develop their entrepreneurial skills, scale their innovations, build their expertise, knowledge, so that they are indeed truly empowered to obtain meaningful employment, making them active agents of their own development. The role of the African Renaissance and Diaspora Network is critical in the realization of this mission. At Youth Connect Africa, we focus on the Triple E agenda. The first E is education, which is all about educating or strengthening the skills of our young people. The second E is empowerment, empowering young people to make their own decisions on important matters such as mental health and sexual reproductive rights. And the last E is employment/entrepreneurship, as job creation and employment of young people is the most important key to harness the demographic dividend in Africa. As a continental initiative, Youth Connect Africa has been endorsed by the African Union Executive Council as an implementing partner. Hence, we are guided by the vision of the African Union Agenda 2063, which specifically highlights the potential of continents' youth as a driving force for sustainable development. We are so delighted that the African Renaissance and Diaspora Network has put the youth in the center of this year's Africa Day celebration. In closing, I would like to thank the ARDN and particularly Dr. Jibril Jallo for his support, compassion, and uplifting spirit for others, especially the young people, and for all the work you're doing with the Red Card campaign. Thank you so much, Dr. Diallo and your team, for organizing such an important event today. Africa is the youngest continent in the world, filled with hope and opportunities. Africa is the continent of the present and the future. Africa is the continent of diversity, of solidarity. Africa is the continent of resilience. Together, let's carry this hope, change the narrative, and make the Africa we want a reality. Happy Africa Day to us all, and thank you.
Come 1 second. Thank you so much again, Uli Keita, all the way from Rwanda. It is now my pleasure to give the floor to the president of Berkeley College, Dr. Diane Resinos, a great friend of the African Renaissance and Diaspora Network. You have the floor, please.
Excellent. Thank you. Good afternoon, ambassadors, dignitaries, and distinguished guests, and Dr. Diallo. I bring you greetings from Berkeley College in Manhattan. It is an honor to be here with you today to celebrate Africa Day. Our mission at Berkeley College is to empower students to achieve lifelong success in dynamic careers. What sets Berkeley College apart is our rich diversity, our teaching and learning excellence, our career support and commitment to providing students with equitable pathways to opportunities. Berkeley College is a microcosm of New York City, the most diverse city in the world. We have been preparing students for professional careers and to be engaged global citizens for 91 years. Africa Day is a celebration, a day when we come together to commemorate the freedom, independence, unity, and progress of the nations of Africa. Freedom is a right of humanity. Let us reflect on the hard-fought struggles of humanity, the victories and losses that have shaped the history and heritage of the African Union. Independence allows each person across every nation to establish an identity that is unique to their talents, intellect, humanness, culture, and preferences. The unity of 55 member states in the African Union fortifies the economic vitality and the quality of life of the people of Africa. Progress is witnessed in 4 African Union member states of Rwanda, Namibia, South Africa, and Senegal, which are ranked among the top 10 countries in the world with the highest number of women representation in parliament. 16 member states of African Union have excelled beyond the 30% threshold of women's representation in national parliaments as well. Women now hold positions in defense, the economy, finance, and foreign affairs. The African Union must continue to press for gender equality and advancing the lives of women and children. In the United States, Africa accounts for the fastest growth in a large portion of the immigrant population, which totals 1.1 million people in New York City. This makes New York City the #1 metropolitan area in the country for African migration, according to Pew Research Center. Many students from Africa come to the United States to advance their education and economic mobility. If New York City is the university of the world, then consider Berkeley College, the College of Mobility, where students strive for their dreams and prepare for careers that allow them to move up the economic ladder. Many of our students are immigrants or first-generation Americans of African descent. Berkeley College is their home away from home, whether our students are from the Bronx or Ghana, Harlem or Senegal, Brooklyn or Nigeria. The continent of Africa is young, with 60% of its population under the age of 25. Youth and young adults of Africa's most valuable resources. Education is essential to empowering their futures and the future of Africa. There is room for every member nation of the African Union on our campus. Let education be the guidepost for everyone to continue the progression of the African Union. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Resino, for that statement, and we look forward to following up with you with this excellent connection. Thank you again. Thank you very much. It is now my pleasure to introduce the video message from the Deputy Executive Director of UNFPA, Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations, Dr. Jane Keita.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear young people, my dearest brother Jibril, bonjour à tous, good afternoon. It is my great honor to join you today in celebrating Africa Day. Today is an important day to celebrate Africa's achievement towards sustainable development as envisioned in Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. A day like this gives us the opportunity to recognize and celebrate Africa's leadership. Africa was the first to have a continental charter on youth, which is guiding youth development and empowerment across the continent. It is also important to recognize the bold decision by the African head of state to devote the theme of the African Union to harnessing the demographic dividend. This has a positive ripple effect across Africa and beyond. It is no surprise that Africa's Agenda 2063 is strongly aligned with the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. I strongly believe for the continent to move forward towards attaining all sustainable development goals, we have to harness the potential of African people, especially its women and youth. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the founders of the Organization of African Unity showed great resolve and unity of purpose in leading the continent towards common values of freedom, equality, human rights, and dignity. Dear young people, we count on your generation to build on the efforts of the present leadership through your innovative thinking, resilience, and dedication. The United Nations Population Fund and the entire UN system will continue to be Africa's close partner in the journey towards the Africa we want. The Sahel Women Empowerment and Demographic Dividend Project and the Karma campaign to reduce maternal mortality are excellent examples of the African Union's ambitious yet critical investment towards realizing sustainable development. However, COVID-19 has impacted people all over the world and in Africa as well, and has severely disrupted some of the gains made over the years. This calls for increasing investment and accelerating action toward realizing the aspiration for Agenda 2063 and the Sustainable Development Goals Agenda 2030. As UNFPA, we are equally committed to supporting efforts by the African Union aimed at addressing the humanitarian crisis, including support for the Humanitarian Summit and other programs within the continent, from the Sahel to the Horn of Africa to the Great Lake region. We have continuously been on the ground, ensuring that the needs of the most vulnerable are addressed, especially women and youth, leaving no one behind. Ladies and gentlemen, young people, we must remember that the Africa we want must be the one we build. It is too important to leave it to chance or to business as usual. Allow me to thank you all for seizing this opportunity for Africa Day 2022 to appreciate a few of the many excellent developments that are changing our lives. Have a wonderful Africa Day.
That was the message from the United Nations Fund for Population. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce the message specially done for this day for the celebrations of Africa Day by the Deputy Executive Director of UN Women. Go ahead, please.
Your Excellencies, young leaders of Africa and in the diaspora, friends and partners, I join you today on behalf of UN Women in celebrating Africa Day, a day devoted to collective struggles for liberation, decolonization, and also for the celebration of the continent's diversity and culture. I am thrilled that this year's celebration is dedicated to youth leadership, talent, and influence in all aspects of society and civic space. UN Women is committed to creating a space for partnership which is intersectional and intergenerational to advance gender equality, as showcased in the landmark Generation Equality Forum last year. It is critical that young people, including adolescents, in all their diversity, are engaged in peace, development, and human rights. I say this in what are sobering times for all of us, as we deal with the impact of war, climate change, and acute economic inequality. Almost 75% of Africa's population is young, under the age of 35 years. And yet, from 2013 to 2017, the rate of unemployed youth across Africa actually increased from 16 to almost 18%. The rate of youth not engaged in education, employment, or training also increased rather dramatically from 19 to 28% during the same period, and it continues to rise. The fact is that given this demographic and given these numbers, the continent is losing money. The continent could reap approximately $500 billion more each year if countries invested in youth. Research also indicates that there are tens of billions of dollars in increased GDP that would come from ensuring that girls complete their education and fulfill their potential in our societies. We have an opportunity to leverage this demographic dividend as a unique driver for economic growth and development, an opportunity to create several million jobs that can lead to reduced poverty, will help to lift the standard of living, not just for this generation, but also for the next generation of Africans. Our solutions will require transformative shifts and integrated intergenerational approaches. We know that existing interventions will not suffice to achieve a planet 50-50 by 2030. So what we need are innovative approaches that disrupt business as usual and that will deliver the SDGs. I want to say also that through generation equality, we will continue to partner with young people in Africa and across the diaspora to strengthen your active participation and your leadership in accelerating gender equality and empowerment of all young women and girls. It is time to scale up action and impact on youth employment in particular to support the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. We need to spotlight existing talent and consolidate the bold progress that the 2063 Agenda envisages through intergenerational partnerships. Together with the African Union and in close partnership with the Special Envoy on Women, Peace and Security, we have been participating in the African Women Leaders Network and in its intergenerational retreats since inception in 2018. This network is an intergenerational platform for young women to network with an inspiring group of African women leaders, including senior UN leaders, current government representatives, and several former heads of state. It is through initiatives like this and through young people's transformative advocacy that we can have a direct impact on achieving equality and prosperity, the cornerstones of Agenda 2063 and the SDGs. Let us make a commitment today to continue to work together in achieving these goals. Thank you.
We are so grateful to partner UN agencies for taking time out of their programs to really make these special videos. So now we will be having a live connection with the former first Vice President of Costa Rica, Her Excellency F.C. Campbell-Barr. Before then, I wanted to just recognize three individuals as we go along. We have Professor Leonard Jeffries here, who is a historian, very, very famous. We want to make sure that we recognize you, Professor Jeffries. We have Rosalind Jeffries, Dr. Jeffries in her own right as well, and Charles Martins. And the Mayor of New York City is represented by the Chief of Staff, but also the person who has been working tirelessly to have the connection with the diaspora. I'm talking about Aissata Kamara, here present. Yeah. Thank you very much. And we have been talking about bringing all facets of society to work on giving a red card to all forms of discrimination against women and girls. Sharon Kumbabach, here present, is going to bring the world of fashion to give a red card against all forms of discrimination and violence against women and girls. Please stand up so that we can thank you as well for doing that. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's very important. So we want to now have the connection with the former first Vice President of Costa Rica, Her Excellency F.C. Campbell-Barr. You have the floor. It's a technical, yeah. The technicians. Yeah, okay.
Hello, do you listen to me?
Yeah, we can hear you, yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to be, for me, as a woman of African descent, and it is a great honor to be part of this celebration. Today, we celebrate the Day of Africa to vindicate all the socioeconomic advances that have been achieved by the majority of the countries in this continent. This celebration has its foundation since the Congress of African States was held for the first time where representatives of several countries met. That meeting showing the firm determination of the people to freeze themselves for foreign colonization. In addition to celebrating Africa Day, we must celebrate African legacy to the world in its music, art, fashion, unique fabrics design, dance, cuisine, economics, its supporting achievement, among many others. I'm glad that this particular celebration is dedicated to young people from Africa and the diaspora who have left their mark on the world, such as social activism, science, technology, sports, art, cinema, and literature, etc. That the Day of Africa is focused on the three of the objectives of sustainable development as guarantee a healthy life and promote well-being for all at all age, guarantee inclusive, equitable, and quality education, and promote lifelong learning opportunity for all the peoples. And third, achieve gender equality and empower of all the women and girls. This is a necessity for the development of the entire countries of Africa, but also for us as people of African descent in the diaspora. It fills me a great satisfaction because thanks to the people like Jibril Diallo, who is a promoter of not leaving anyone behind, but on the contrary, he has been a person who has marked a legacy with this great work in Africa and the world, and also support us as we people of African descent all over the world. It filled me also into enthusiasm that space let this become spaces for reflection to empower and put at the end of all forms of discrimination and violence against women. We as women have to be in the first seats to work together with the men to develop our countries and also our communities and our families. The celebration of Africa Day promotes equality, dignity, and rights for the women and girls. And this is one of the main goals that we have to work together. Thank you very much. We are celebrating our culture, our history, and to work together to build bridges between we as the sixth region in the diaspora and you as country. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Epsy Campbell, for those inspiring and motivational words. Let's have a round of applause to her. That was weak. Thank you so much. Muchísimas gracias. Now, I'm honored to introduce the next speaker. I think I kind of grew up here in the U.S. listening to some of the work he's done on TV, on PBS and places like that. Mr. Leonard Jeffries is the former department chair, Black Studies Department, City College of New York. Mr. Jeffries, it's an honor to have you with us. The floor is now yours. Judith, maybe help him to push the... Mr. Jeffries, just raise your hand and people in the tech office will see where you are. Now you're on.
Family, it certainly is a great pleasure for me and my wife to share this particular celebration with all of you. We've been very fortunate over the years to have a deep relationship with the African continent. It's kind of embarrassing to admit that my wife was in Nigeria 1960, and while she was in Nigeria, I was with the Africans in Paris in 1960. Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop fighting for his doctorate with his mentor, Alioune Diop and Madame Diop. And so it has been an enormous family affair. And at the heart of this enormous family affair, bringing us all together so we can talk about renaissance and rebirth and resurrection, is a special spirit moving among us. And his name is Dr. Jibril Diallo. He has been everywhere, doing everything, and still looks like a young man. I'm at 85, and Jibril is getting younger. And so he is a personality of great merit on the planet, and he has demonstrated that by bringing us together and allowing us to have our particular voices heard, and to have a male leader in the African world give great power and sustenance to the females of the African world. And so let's give Jibril a special thank you. Merci beaucoup. So that I just hope that we have many more years to continue this great work, and that this is not a celebrity process in which we pat ourselves on the back, but we reinforce our coming together because there's a great work that is necessary. The young people need to be assisted. The future is theirs, but we have to use the expertise that we've had to make sure that that future is meaningful. So I'm just glad to see Jibril with his team. There's his attorney hanging with him, and Arden. It's so wonderful to see work taking place and the brothers and sisters growing with it. And so I have to give thanks to my wife, having on her agenda Africa and enhancing it. She's actually teaching classes, 50-something years, teaching classes at the School of Visual Arts and teaching them to the world. The students are coming from all over, from Asia, from South America, and she has adjusted to their needs to be able to teach them the knowledge that she has inherited by working so strongly and importantly in the African world. So, Brother Jill, it's not over. You still got a lot of work in front of you, and we'll be there to give you a push if you need a little bit of money and some other things. But you are number one on the African agenda of renaissance and rebirth and working with our young people. Continue to do the great work, brother. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
A big thank you goes to the doctors, Jeffries, Mr. and Mrs. I have to acknowledge our elder sister. Thank you so much for your great efforts and achievements over the years through the academic work you've done, really touching the lives of so many young people over the years to be the global citizens that they are, and really putting Africa front and center of everything that we do and know. Thank you very much. I now have the pleasure of introducing a really great video, which I know you're going to enjoy, from Webster University. There's a big surprise, but I'll leave that there for you.
This is a special day in part because we have with us Dr. Jibril Diallo. His life and career embody the values of individual excellence and global citizenship, aligning well with Webster University's mission. Webster University is proud to know him as a partner and a friend. I hereby confer upon Dr. Jibril Diallo the Doctor of Humane Letters honoris causa degree with all the rights and privileges pertaining to that degree.
It's such a great honor for me to be in your presence. You are the leaders of this world. I would like politely to ask you to lift your cards so that here we can take a pledge to make sure that we do everything possible to work towards ending violence and discrimination against women and girls. The world needs your power and innovation now more than ever. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much.
Now, I'm one of those people who does spend a little bit of time on social media, TikTok, Instagram, you name it. And I was pleasantly surprised when I was looking in my Facebook and I saw that Jibril was being honored at Webster University. I mean, I jumped out of my seat and I really felt proud because I thought, oh my God, Webster University, first I'm searching, where is that? Oh my God, this is where it is. And to have a fellow African taking the message of Arden, taking the message of the United Nations, the world, but the message of Africa to Webster University, it gave me goosebumps. And it really just made me realize, again, as we said, Jibril Diallo, the passion that he has, the energy, and that really, idea of building bridges and building, bringing the world together. So thank you so much, Jibril, once again. I'm sorry I have to say this over and over again, not because he's my mentor, but because really, as an individual, as a person, I'm really honored and proud of the work that he does. Now, it's a pleasure to introduce Mr. Ramnek Aluwalia, the CEO of Higher Ed, who will bring us his message via video. Let's watch this now.
Greetings to everyone on Africa Day. My name is Professor Ramnek Aluwalia. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Higher Health, an organization serving Southern Africa. We are very rich as a continent. And today, my speech is focused on hope, a hope of a wonderful Africa, of a fantastic Africa, of Africa that will lead and is deservingly to lead. We are an unfortunate continent. South Africa, as an example, is just 27 years old in its democracy as an independent country. We've, as a continent, as a country, inherited a difficult past, a past that has put way and miles us behind. But what has not taken from us is our desire, our will, and our determination to go back and deserve what Africa deserves to be the best in the world. Our widening inequality gap is not our doing. It's something, as we always say in South Africa, at 27 years of independence, it takes time for transformation. And that's what we are hoping and we're trying to build. A build from what West says is a dark continent to be the most brightest sunshine that will lead the world in the future. As we reflect on the continent's progress and the common challenges that we face, the aspirations of Africa are many. A continuous march towards the most prosperous future in which all our citizens, whether young or old, rural or urban, male or female, of all creeds, ethnic backgrounds, cultures are empowered to realize their full potential, live with satisfaction and pride about their continent. A future where we want our citizens to be healthy, well-educated, but most importantly, a citizen living in a robust and developed economies in the world. Today, I stand to give a hope on behalf of my own organization, Higher Health, an example of a best practice from African continent, a desire. As I speak, I'm very rich Because when I'm speaking on behalf of South African government. I'm speaking on behalf of all the public universities in South Africa. I'm speaking on behalf of all the public colleges. There are about 300 rural centers, 1,800 community college centers, private higher education, schooling system. They are all members of higher health. And why they are all members of higher health? Because we've all united, whether it's government, whether it's civil society, whether it's institutions of higher learning, whether it's academia, whether it's research, whether it's implementation. We've all united for one common cause, our own challenges. If we have HIV in Southern Africa as a leading cause of death, then the only way we can respond is by being united. If we have gender-based violence, and for everyone, gender-based violence is not an African problem or South African problem. It originates and lives from centuries in every part of the world. But we have realized it, and we're going to do something about it. We have to fight our challenges on sexual reproductive health, on mental health. We have to fight challenges on disability, issues with drugs and alcohol, COVID-19, gender diversity, another general health and well-being, because the most important for us as higher health is to build an educated young South African, a skill, a Southern African skill that will remain in Africa and grow. What we are trying to achieve is that a citizen is born, parents are born, children see parents, not single parents, not abusive families. That's the transformation we are trying to build. And that can only be possible through education. There's nothing better than giving education to our people. And that is what higher health does, day and night. We run a second curriculum all across every institution of higher learning in South Africa, in schooling system. Whether you are in school, whether you are in university, whether you're in college, whether you're in arts, whether you're in business sciences, whether you're in humanities, whether you're in medical sciences, are you plumbing or in your mining, you need to learn these pandemics because it's very critical from the beginning. If you want to build civic education, if you want to build health education, it starts from the beginning of how we groom young people or young students or young children around our world to understand that these challenges affect them. What we don't want is to lose our economy from all the hard work our forefathers have done to get us freedom by these diseases absorbing our young lives. What we need now is these young people to be healthy, build economy for our nation, build skills in our nation, and grow our richness in our diversity that remains in Africa. So please join our movement. Join our movement in enrolling millions and millions of our youth to learn these issues that affect our economic growth, our humanity, our social challenges, and our climate change in particular. Thanks to United Nations and all parts of the world that we are building this resilience in our population. As I speak, over 1 million South Africans are studying gender-based violence, gender equality, gender diversity, mental health, HIV, sexual reproductive health, issues that will affect them as they grow into adulthood, as they grow into becoming citizens in this country. And we can only do it by building a nation, building communities, and building Africa together. And lastly, as I conclude, we do not just educate. When we educate, we assess risks of young people to these pandemics at early stages. But the most important part, which I thank the governments of Africa, the government of South Africa, by bringing services at the doorsteps of young people. Do not let people go to find services of health into hospitals when prevention and simple services can come to the community. So a holistic growth and a holistic South Africa can only be built if communities empower themselves, and the empowerment lies in our hand. In my conclusion, I would like to thank everyone for giving us the opportunity to engage on Africa Day. We should celebrate Africa Day. We are a proud Africa, and we have a lot to show to the world on our best practices that remain within our continent. And as many African nations strive to improve the livelihood of citizens first, here it is for our united Africa. I thank you.
This is Africa, and this is the Africa, the diversity of Africa. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the Queen Mother for Venda, Queen Makadzi, who has worked tirelessly to support the actions of the African Renaissance and Diaspora Network. She has traveled all over the world to support ARDN, and she came last night from South Africa to participate as the special guest for the celebrations of Africa Day at the United Nations. Queen Mother for Venda is here. She is being supported by Nontantla Jihan, who is the country representative of the African Renaissance and Diaspora Network for South Africa. Nontantla, please stand up so that we can recognize your efforts and say thank you to you. Thank you very much. And with that, please let us give the warmest welcome to the Queen Mother for Venda, South Africa. Queen Makadzi, please.
Good evening, everybody. I will start by thanking the Honorable Chairperson Connie Newman and our Honorable President Jibril Diallo, our father, the founder of Eden Red Card. I will also thank the team for Eden Red Card who work behind the scene to make this happen. I know why Jibril wanted me to be the special guest. He wanted me to be the role model for the youth, is what I thought myself. I'm from the rural area, the Bundu area, where you find sometimes some other villages, there are no streets. Sorry. Yes. Yes, where you find that some villages, there are no streets. We fetch water from the rivers. But because of growing on that situation, we were always surrounded by the elders who cannot speak English. Therefore, for us to speak English, I'm learning now. I'm teaching myself because of our father, Jibril. He always motivates me every day to say, Makadzi, you must come and then you must make sure that you will speak on your own. No one will interpret for you. You will not use your mother tongue, Venda. You have to say something. And I'm here to say something to the youth. I started my own business at the age of 17 while I was still at the secondary level. At the age of 24, I was one of the millionaires of South Africa. I started it's where I started to adopt children or kids. I adopted more than 5,000 kids from the age of 6 months. Then you can be an African coming from the rural area like myself, but you can do something for your family, your friends, those who surround you always, if you sit down and create something for yourself and for them. For those kids, I've got celebrities, doctors, social worker, chartered accountant, One of them is the Rain Queen. The mother passed away, and the father dropped that child at the age of 6 months to my gate. Now she's turning 17. The minister is the Minister of Education in South Africa. She's helping me with that child now. I've got the child like Makazi, the artist. She's one of those whom I grew myself. I travel with her, teaching her a lot of things. People were bullying her, but I was there to motivate her to be strong. Even though I'm not educated like them, I wanted them to be better people and to be the role model of other kids. Now today, you see Makazi everywhere. Makazi, it's me, it's my name. She used that one as an artist. For those kids, which I'm talking about, more than 5,000 kids, you will ask yourself how I manage them. Some now they have got kids, I've got a lot of grandchildren, which I'm so proud of them. Then for you youth, people can do a lot of things which you can see, but you must have that thing of saying to yourself, is this good? It's an advantage to my life or not? Can I choose this path, or can I see this path as something which is not good for me? All the kids now, when you look at them, they're learning a lot of things which are not good or which are not healthy, even for their lives. Morality is gone to our community, where you see some of your kids, they become your enemy because they're learning a lot of things outside. Some, they've been started to smoke nyaupe, drugs, and all those things. And when they come home, respect is gone. Then I would wish to all the youth not to follow that path because it's not healthy for them and it's not good. For being a leader, it's when you share and love others. You can't be a leader without people who are following you, like our father Jibril. He's one of my role models. Always, he motivates me with a lot of things. If somebody said, you look young, he always say to me, Makazi, you must exercise. You must exercise, and I'm doing that so that I will be more healthier. Then for you young kids, it's for you to fight GBV in different ways. Be prepared to plan your own future. You must read, you must study, so that when you do things, somebody who have got wisdom and knowledge is different from somebody who never attend school, because the respect which you get from those knowledge by being an educated person, it changes a lot in your life. The last thing which I can say to all of you, there is something which is very, 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 very painful to our life. All of us, we face a lot of things. I will just choose only 3. We have our own tribulation. We've got our own storms and trials. Everybody will find that you have got something which, when you sit down, you say, that thing I can't forget. I feel I can't heal. What must I do? Now we've got the issue of GBV and the COVID, cancer. and all those kind of painful situations which we are facing. But I ask myself to see, how can we overcome those kind of things? But always I saw that the doctors, social workers, my children, some of them are social workers, but they can't overcome that pandemic like a COVID. Even cancer, some they die because of cancer, HIV, and then those pains which are inside us, maybe after being abused. Then I realized that there is only one person who can help us on this. It's God. If Jibril can continue to spread this gospel of red card, and most of us, many people, even us, because we are here and we support him in this journey, I know maybe we can be united and for God to listen to us, whereas we are busy spreading on how we can protect ourselves from those diseases and GBV. In South Africa, when I look, I can see that there is nothing which is happening to protect our people against GBV. You will see that every day it's kids who are dying, especially girls, being raped, and all those kind of painful situations, which I can see even the government now, they don't know what, they don't have solution. But I'm begging our president, our father, Jibril, because to me, he's my father. He's my father, he's my mentor, he's my role model. To spread this gospel until we find the solution. It can be from our Creator, or maybe we can have that opportunity for government to allow to put those laws which can end this kind of situation which we are facing. I can't go on. I've got a lot of stories with young ones, especially the youth, because I love kids with all my heart. That is what I live for. I work very hard day and night for those kids to be successful, to come out and be proud of themselves. Then whatever I'm going through is for God, who is there for me every day to bless me, to put something on the table for those kids. Since 1987, let's say 84, I was adopting kids until today and groom them. Yes. I will not say a lot about my royal family or the royal family today, but next time I'll tell you a lot of stories about the royal family and the protocols which makes me today not to speak English fluently like you guys, because of those elders who speak only Venda, who don't want me to say this and this to anyone. They were so strict. Then I will tell you a lot of stories next time about the royal families.
Thank you, Queen Mother. Your words were very touching, inspiring, really emotional. Listening to you, it really brings back memories for me, for the strength and leadership that I know that women have in Africa. But we normally don't see that in display on a stage like this. You see it within your family. You know, when I think about my grandmother, who was illiterate, or my mom, and the leadership and the strength of these women. We all stand on the shoulders of our women ancestors. Thank you so much, Queen Mother, for the work that you're doing. You've inspired me. I've always thought about adopting kids. I'm thinking I want to adopt twins. And now you're telling me you adopted 5,000 children. So I think I need to go back. I need to go back to the drawing board and think about this over again. But thank you so much, Queen Mother. Well, I think it's time for some music right now. What do you think? Yeah. let's get some entertainment. And for that, I'm going to call on one of our young pace setters, because today we're going to get to it in just a little bit. The whole idea is to recognize young people on the continent and the diaspora that are setting the pace for the Africa that we want. So I'm going to call on one of the pace setters who's a singer, she's a gymnast, and she's a motivational speaker. All this at age 22. I don't know if I can call on her mentor, Mr. Terrence Coles, who's a member of ARND, to introduce her and her performance. Terrence, take it away.
So, check. Thank you very much, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you, Dr. Diallo. Thank you to the ARDN, and thank you, Queen Mother Mkezi, for those wonderful words. It's so inspiring, and this young lady inspires me. And so without further ado, well, I also have to thank Mommy and Dada Productions, my own mother, and my grandmother for inspiring me to be here to support her. Larissa Martin, please.
Thank you. I also want to thank the UN for having me and allowing me to use my voice to support the Red Carpet campaign. You see, in this world, everybody says you need to have somebody, but I'm telling you I don't need nobody, yeah. Cause God told me that he got a plan for me. Little baby, go and spread your wings. So I'm gonna keep stepping out into my destiny. Yeah, I'm free, I ain't gonna be sorry. He put the plans before me, and I got it started, yeah. I ain't gonna be sorry. He put the plans before me, and I got it started, yeah. And I got it started, yeah. I can't let my family down, I can't let my friends down. Yeah, gotta keep my head up, can't get caught looking down. I'ma try my best to let nobody stop me. I'ma try my best to let nobody stop me. It ain't easy to live this way. 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 Sick, tired of pressure, the world gotta be perfect to fit the role. One wrong move, the jump roll makes you feel you don't belong. They always watching you, stalking you, trying to find one little flaw to put a block on you. They love to judge you, but they still follow you. They don't understand that you've been through a lot of obstacles to make everything you said today possible. One day I'ma write a book and have an audible. Maybe one day start a chronicle. So I had to stop allowing them to have their opinions. When they don't share my same plans, they don't share my same visions. I lift my hands up to God just to give me provision. Yeah. So I don't have to guess, neither do I have to keep on wishing. I know my mission, sometimes I make the wrong decisions, but I know how to play my positions. Yeah. I know how to play mine, cause God told me that he got a plan for me. Little baby, go and spread your wings. So I'm gonna keep stepping out into my destiny. Yeah, I'm free, I ain't gonna be sorry. He put the plans before me, and I got it started, yeah. I ain't gonna be sorry. He put the plans before me, and I got it started, yeah. And I got it started, yeah. Thank you. I wrote the song Free to inspire people to step out into your purpose. Even at times when you don't feel like it might be the right thing, or you don't know if what you're doing is like God is like helping you always. So just step out into your purpose always. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Martin. That was really inspirational. Thank you so much for gracing us with your strong and firm voice. Another round of applause. Well, I love every part of today, but we're getting to one of the parts I think I really love, because this is where we're going to designate some really outstanding young people as pace setters for development based on their activities, and the work they've done to really support various important causes in their communities, in their countries, and the world at large. Now, you heard a lot of people speaking today talking about the richness that we have in Africa and in the diaspora, and the goals that we have for the Africa we want. And what I loved is that a lot of them put young people really in the center of all of this, for the innovation, for the creativity, for the energy, and for that power that's going to move us ahead to achieve that goal. So hold on to your seats, because here they come. We know that Africa has the youngest population. I think it's been said already, in all parts of the world, and that's expected to emerge, and to explode, and really, in a positive way also, as a dominant economic power over the next couple of decades. It's young people like the ones we're going to hear from today. Some are with us today, and some are coming with us via video, but still in a very powerful way, that are really going to take us there. What I always tell the young people that I work with is they're powerful, they're awesome, they're amazing, but I also remind them that it's also an intergenerational thing. Because we've heard from a lot of elders here. I'm in between myself. We've heard from a lot of elders here from the continent, from the United States, from Costa Rica, from other parts of the world in the diaspora. So for me, it's the young people propelling us, but also the elders coming along with them and guiding them along the way. So like I said, hold on to your seats, because here they come. I'm going to start off with Kujeji Komar, who was born here in the United States to Gambian parents. Her parents migrated to the United States. They struggled to bring her up, and she faced many hurdles as a young girl, wearing a burqa and worshiping differently from most people around her. I'm not going to tell her story, because I know she's a powerful young woman. I see her walking up and coming to the front. She's going to speak to us and tell us about her journey from the center of the room. Welcome, Kujeji.
Thank you. Greetings of peace, everybody. I'm really blessed to be here and very nervous. My legs are shaking. So I hope you can bear with me. I want to thank everyone here for being in community, for distinguished guests and honored guests, and for just the community in general to being here with us today. I also want to thank my parents who are watching virtually at home in the Bronx in New York City, as well as my sisters, my friends, my family, everyone watching and being here with me in community. And most importantly, I want to thank God. I want to thank him for his mercy. Without it, I would not be here. So I know today our theme is girls and women, right? And the whole idea is that if you educate a woman, you educate a girl, you educate all of humanity. And so today, what I'm going to share is an ode to women in my life. I am who I am. I am what I am because of who we all are. Ubuntu. I am here because we are here. In my journey up until this point, I am reminded of those whose shoulders have hosted me up, giving me the world to look at, laying it all in front of me, interlocking their hands with mine, helping me walk like a toddler, one step in front of the other. At times, I have lost my balance, fallen on my knees, unsure if the path that lay before me was truly for me, and Could I feel those big footprints of my ancestors, their dreams, their longing? In my language, we call that hummi, prominent. Could I hold my own tune and still sing their falsettos? In Islam, we are told paradise lies at the foot of your mother, woman whose feet have traveled far and wide to secure this world, whose feet carry generations pregnant with possibilities, whose womb we are nurtured in and pushed into the vastness of this world to flourish in this lushness that is hers, mothers. Madres, ummis, mamans, this is for you. Women, this is for you because God has made you the portal from which all come forth, from which all is possible. I am here because we are here. I am here because my sisters, we are here. We are uniquely and faithfully made. I am here because Mama Injura, Mama Sise, my mother, who tirelessly, along with my father, traveled between home in the Bronx to Harlem Hospital for a month while I was in the NICU to make sure that I thrived. I am here because of the community of women and aunties who made sure that I can come up here today. I am here because of Munye, in my language of endurance, and we know women can endure the most, hence why God assigned us to give birth to children. I could flourish, to make sure that I could flourish, to be in places where few look like me, taking me all the way into the halls of Princeton University. And in that flowering, remember the soil that lays beneath my feet, soils near the Gambian River, where women till the soil, planting peanuts, making sure that their household survives. I am here because of my soul sisters who, like me, in finding Smiling Coast Women Empowerment Network, knew that success meant facilitating and creating a space where all women can thrive, can feel like they're seen, can unload their burdens, and have a right to higher education. I am here because of Miss D, a beloved client of mine when I was at Sati Yatu Center for African Women and Families, providing legal services to low-income immigrant African women and their families who were victims of gender-based violence. Even in the midst of dying, Ms. D cared for me, her world, and most importantly, her children, seeking to traverse the inhumane borders of immigration law to reunite her kids in Cote d'Ivoire with those she born here so she could leave her family whole. My last memory of her is her coming into our office, asking me to open envelopes for her because the chemo took all of her nails, envelopes, finding out when her family would reunite. She died waiting, but she taught me the power of openings. Openings I know women remind me of. Openings of my mother, of women like my mother, gathering at masjids in Harlem, dedicating their Saturdays to empowering themselves civically. They appreciated being given a stipend, childcare, and the opportunity to grow as leaders they already were, and to have support of a Muslim NGO. I am here because we are here. I am now at an institution of higher education at Fordham University where I can open doors for young girls who look like me, empowering them to lead unapologetically, to take up space, to dare to dream. I am here because we are here. Life comes at you fast and it comes at you in cycles. My two daughters are bold. They are audacious, colorful, and definitely have a lot of sass. But they are teaching me that women, we are powerful, we are each other, we are enough. Lastly, I am here because of Mother Africa, who today we celebrate, who has been a kind, firm, and nurturing mother to me and my kind, and her resilience is why we are here. I end with a poem in honor of the village I come from. Demba Kunda. The sand speaks years of wisdom. as it trembled under their small footsteps. Her words hostess to the aromas of benetchin, faraway sons and newborn babies. The yellow in the sky dangling on strings of broken promises beaded into her the way women pound yams. Frail hands of youthful vigor drew on her withered surface. She was broken inside. I could see the fragments in the way that the wind would tap at her slightly and she would spill over, trying to drown out the echoes decades would throw back at her. I touched her. My foreign footsteps felt her beating. I had never been home. She would be my first. I came out of the car and stood firmly on the sounds of soninke, picking up the wind of the drum beats loosening their hold, but she was cold. I wanted to sing my warmth into the etched lines of her palm so that she would never have to feel goosebumps again. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you, thank you. That was pretty powerful. I love the way you use storytelling to really share your journey with us, Kujeji. That was really awesome. Thank you so much. Now, we started off in Gambia via USA and the Boogie Down Bronx. I'm going to take you back now down to West Africa, and I'm going to invite a video from Mr. Joshua Aladd, who is a young gentleman that I know pretty well. I've worked with him a lot. He's a passionate supporter and advocates for the Sustainable Development Goals, better known as the Global Goals, in his native Nigeria and for the world. So far, everything he does that I know has been really to work to promote education as a way for young people to earn decent pay. So let's let him tell his story. I think let's cue up the video.
Hi, my name is Joshua Aladd, and I'm the Executive Director of Nigerian Youth SDGs Network, which is a youth-led and youth-serving civil society organization localizing the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals in Nigeria. I'm so excited to be here today on my award as a young African pace setter for development in Africa. And it sums up the work that I have been doing over the last 5 years around decent work for young Nigerians and access to quality education. In Nigerian Youth SDGs, we believe that young people have the passion, they have the creativity, and they have the motivation and strength to be able to lead meaningful change in their community. So what we do at Nigerian Youth SDGs is to inspire young people to become leaders of sustainable development, to interact with policymakers, to be able to demand for the change that they need. In 2020, we led an advocacy on decent work for young Nigerians following the impact of COVID-19. And we conducted a survey which had 212,000 responses across Nigeria over a 6-week period. And we brought in about 850 young people across Nigeria to talk about what decent work means to them. And at the end of our deliberation, we took up our campaigns and our concerns to the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports, which led to the launch of something called the Nigerian Youth Employment Action Plan, which is an action plan by the Nigerian government to provide 3.7 million young people who have been affected by COVID-19 with decent work. And over the years, we've so much invested in youth leadership, in activism, in ensuring that the needs of young people are met, and also ensuring that positive youth development is mainstreamed in Nigeria. I'm so excited to be winning this award because it sums up the work that I have been doing, and I hope to continue doing more. I want to give a big shout out to every member of my team at Nigerian Youth SDGs, our board members. Thank you so much. And getting this award shows how much you believe in me. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Joshua. Now we have a couple of other pace setters that are here with us in person. Why don't we start with Cairo Eubanks? I think, Cairo, I don't know if you're going to speak from there or...
Your Excellencies, can everyone hear me? Fantastic. Your Excellencies, dignitaries, special guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. A well-known African proverb rightfully and eloquently proclaims that it takes a village to raise a child. In accepting this award by the African Renaissance Diaspora Network on Africa Day, I would like to focus on just 3 members of my village. Indeed, they have imparted and instilled me with many valuable lessons, 3 of which I wish to share with you. The first lesson that I have for you to share is never forget where you come from. I would like to first thank my mom, attorney Dr. Diane Moore Eubanks, Chancellor of Global Ovid Day Seminary and University. My mom was born and raised in Jamaica. Fortunately, she never lost sight of her love and connection to Mother Africa. Not surprisingly, my parents gave me the name Cairo, like Egypt, while my siblings were named Dakar and Sudan, also in homage of Mother Africa, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to see my sister. Sudan, would you be so kind to come a little bit closer so everyone can see my 15-year-old sister who's here with me today. Conclusive evidence has shown that every human being derived from Africa. My mother allowed and developed me to embrace and cherish the motherland. The second lesson is to use your platform to create a seat at the table for the next generation. I would like to also thank Queen Mother, the executive president of New Future Foundation, Inc., for using her platform to create a seat at the table for me as a youth representative, and for so many other youth. She fosters and encourages intergenerational dialogue in her fight for universal peace, justice, and harmony. And the third lesson is to create spaces where youth can be empowered to lead. Last, but certainly not least, I am truly grateful for the mentorship and lessons that Ms. Hawa Diallo has bestowed upon me. Please give her a round of applause. She cares immeasurably about social justice and empowering young people so much that she formed and spearheaded the UNDGC Youth Steering Committee. I shared with Ms. Diallo my vision of attracting and drawing youth to the United Nations by implementing the Storytelling with a Purpose youth interview series. Because of her, I now co-host this initiative with my fellow committee members and think of innovative ways to reach my fellow civil society where they are. Through them collectively, I was deeply inspired to create a virtual village called Bringing the Globe, an international virtual student exchange platform where our goal is to provide empowerment through our innovative conference to online course model, access to resources, and opportunities to get involved in their communities on a local, national, and international level. Just this week, I spoke to an auditorium filled to capacity with high school students. Employing our workshop, Storytelling with a Purpose, we've assisted students in preparing for college applications, developing self-awareness, confidence, and a sense of purpose, among many other things. At the conclusion of this same conference, one young African-American woman named Ashley approached me to express what she was too shy to say during my interactive presentation. She told me, "Cairo, you have no idea how much it means to me. I deal with depression and low self-esteem. I don't even think highly of myself. But you being here has shown me how much you care, and that has changed my life." Can you imagine how I must have felt to hear that? My goal with Storytelling with a Purpose is to make SDGs more relatable by connecting students' passions and areas of interest of advocacy to the 17 SDGs. Since launching our programs from Bringing the Globe this year, we've impacted nearly 2,000 students like Ashley, and our goal is to impact at least 5,000 students by 2023. And guess what? We're only getting started. In the same way that my mentors who have poured into me over the years, it's now my obligation and my duty to humbly carry this torch from my mentors and continue to dedicate my life to being a vessel to educate, inspire, and nurture the next generation of pace setters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cairo. Now, unfortunately, we're fighting with the clock, so we have two other pace setters that are here live. Wanto, and Francis Koroma. Let's start with Wanto and maybe briefly tell us a little bit about yourself. Thank you.
Are you guys hearing me? Great. Thank you so much. Again, like you will hear a lot of us saying our mentor. Uh, Miss Howard Dallo is also my mentor as well. And I want to appreciate her so much for affording us this platform. My name is Wanto T. Wanto, and I'm from Liberia. Liberia is located on the west coast of Africa, for sure. And today is an incredible day. And before I begin, I want to appreciate Mr. Dallo for providing us this privilege, for being awarded as one of Africa's Paychester at this unique day. Today is not just a day, but it's a day that defines our continental identity, the Foundation of Africa as a continent, previously known as the Organization of African Unity. You know, my journey as an African have been marveled by so many social issues across Liberia. And today I want to incredibly recognize some of the young people that have worked with me from grassroots level in activism who are here today at the UN, Mr. Ibrahim Keita and also Delton Doma, both from Liberia. Please stand, please. Great. These two have been part of my story, a story that began in the slum of Liberia, working on grassroots effort to ensure that women have the right that they deserve. And in 2016, I was invited by then UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon to speak on behalf of African countries that were affected during the Ebola outbreak, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and gaining respect for them. And my statement led to over 3,000 commitments for an agenda that presented humanitarian changes across the world. Now, in 2017, I was awarded year at the UN in the General Assembly Hall by French Ambassador Foundation due to my work. And the story continues. Now I serve on the steering committee of the Department of Global Communication, being mentored by Ms. Howard Dallo, leading change across. There are so many things I want to highlight, but I know I have limited time. But the first thing I want to highlight is the power and solidarity of young people in Africa. And at the 68th Civil Society Conference, we saw that there were so many African youth at the conference, they needed their voice to be heard. And I communicated with Ms. Dallo and I said, how can we be able to ensure that we have the voice of Africans across different countries to ensure that they can be able to be presented with their ideas for sustainable change? She said, if you got to create something, we definitely work on it. In no time, we created a regional platform where Africans from different countries were able to ensure their voice were heard. And there were people speaking on women's rights, gender equality, climate change, and diverse issues across Africa. And this is definitely what I want to stand on today. Today, we are here because young people in Africa demand a seat at the table. We are central to African progressivity, and we need young people to be part of the solutions that we are demanding. And it goes back to another issues which I also want to lay out. Part of my role has been global change makers across not just Africa, but in the diaspora. And today I also want to recognize Sister of Charity Federation, New York, Sister Carol, she's here. And I also want to recognize some members of my college. They are here, College of Mount St. Vincent. Can you guys wave? Cool. So I've been serving as the youth rep of the Sister of Charity Federation, and part of our role has been engaging African youth across with issues that matter to them, promoting different issues of education mobility, gender rights across Liberia, and also ensuring that young people can have the voice at the table. Across Africa, young people are not provided that platform. We are basically seen as the number, and statistically, we are over 400, which present over 70% across Sub-Saharan Africa. And I think today, if there's anything we will be able to lead or be able to imagine for sustainable change or ensuring that we can bridge the gap of gender inequality, is that young people should have their voice being heard in policy discussion, in actions, and ensuring that their advocacy can present the best sustainable change we need for Africa. And also, again, I want to appreciate the organizers so much for the privilege and the award. And as we leave forward, I just want to finally close out on this statement. I want all of us to stand. We've been sitting for a while.
Even old folks?
Yeah. And this is our affirmation. You know, this affirmation is definitely going to be centered around African youth. I want us to stand up, and we're already standing up. I want us to just shout up, African youth for change. Are you ready for this? Can we do this? Sure. All right, so I'm going to start. 1, 2, 3.
African youth for change.
Let's do it for the final time. 1, 2, 3.
African youth for change.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Wanto. So the last person is Francis, and I'm begging to be brief so we're not escorted out of the room. Francis?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Before I go any further, I want to thank the organizer and Miss Awa Diallo as our mama and as our mentor, and also Mr. Dr. Diallo as well. My name is Francis Komar, and I'm from Sierra Leone. And I've been working as a youth ambassador for half a decade now with the Ministry of Youth Affairs in Sierra Leone, and then also the Organization of African Youth. So our work has been mainly focused on youth empowerment, and then also I have a startup company that I call Fantech 3D, which is the main goal is to solve water scarcity, which is one of the Sustainable Development Goals, which is Goal 6. So as a youth ambassador, my role has been going across the country of Sierra Leone, sharing opportunities with the youth out there, and then also making sure they get access to opportunities and resources and mentorship. And speaking of water scarcity, my company, as the CEO and founder of Fantech 3D, the job of the responsibility of my company is to figure out a way how we can provide a safe way for people that are affected by water scarcity, because water scarcity affects like 40% of the world population, and especially in Africa, and for most of us that are from Africa, you can see the reality of people, especially little children, going out like 1 kilometer a day just to go and fetch water so they can have a clean water for them to go to school and then also to use. And then that has caused a lot of issues in the country, and my company is bringing out a sustainable and a new solution, which is using a 3D printed construction to build 10,000 liter water tanks in areas where they can get access to safe drinking water, so we can help eradicate this issue. And then also, I just want to dive a little bit more further I have another talk show that I created about how we can share our voice, because we are here as a representative from our respective countries and then also for Africa as a whole. So I also created a talk show called Decade Gold Podcast. You can look it up, wherein I have a lot of exceptional guests where they can come, and then how can we prepare for the next decade, and how can we talk about what things that have been going on and prepare like for something like the coronavirus, and then also tell us about your track record so people can get inspired by what you've been doing, and also bring the youth together and make sure we make this world a better place. Thank you, everyone, and I just want to make it a bit.
Thank you so much, Francis. Now, come on, guys, give him a round of applause. Pace setters. So now we actually are winding down the program with a singer that was born in Botswana but lives in the UK. Her name is Lorraine Lionheart. She is a multi-talented person. She's a singer, she's a songwriter, she's a lecturer, scholar, and an entrepreneur. She's one of the most popular African music artists in the United Kingdom. Her music reflects her roots from the Basarawa people in the Kalahari Desert. She performed in London at the event celebrating the Queen's Platinum Anniversary as the Queen of England. The video is Africa to the Core, And it's her gift to the Queen from the Commonwealth nations. So let's see what she has in store for us. Let's roll the video. Are we good? Thank you for that. Now, as they say, all good things must come to an end. I've had a wonderful time being here with you today. I'm going to sign off and hand it over to Jibril to continue and to close off. But before going, I just want to mention the name of 3 pace setters who could not be with us today. Omobola Eke from Nigeria, Jadea Spencer from Brooklyn, New York, and Dalil Djibuji, also from Nigeria. I hope that we'll have their messages later online. And I think that I leave you with a video from Richard Gant on the red card, and then I'll pass it on to Jibril. It's really been a wonderful time with you. I know it's been a lot, but this is the power of Africa that has embraced you today. I look forward to seeing you again, maybe sometime next year.
We also need to.
At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce some of the sporting ambassadors that represent the ARDN Red Card campaign.
My name is Tanya Mazinda, and I'm a 17-year-old motocross rider from Zimbabwe, and I support the ARDN Red Card campaign to abolish discrimination and violence against women and girls.
My name is Funot Waldemariam from Eritrea, coach of the first HBCU cycling team at St. Augustine's University, and I support the ARDN Red Card campaign to abolish discrimination and violence against women and girls.
Hi, my name is Alia. Hi, I'm Yasmin, and we're drivers for Bagheera Racing, and we support the ARDN campaign to abolish discrimination and violence against women and girls.
My name is Kinston Brown. I am from Greensboro, North Carolina. I am a cyclist of the first HBCU cycling team at St. Augustine University, and I support the ARDN campaign to abolish discrimination and violence against women and girls.
81,000 women and girls were killed in 2020. More than half were killed by the hands of an intimate partner or a family member. These are shocking statistics, especially given that we, as a global community, have committed to ending gender-based violence and empowerment of women by 2030 under the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. Now, 2030 is just around the corner. We don't have time. So, here's a call to action. We invite the women and girls out there to raise their voices, raise awareness, and amplify the issues that are affecting them in the home, at school, at work, and the community at large. Let us know what the issues are. Raise your voice. We invite the policymakers, the duty bearers who have committed to attaining these targets in their respective countries, to share with us what they plan to do to address these issues and these gaps by 2030. Then we invite the implementers, the funders, and the donors who are doing a great job funding and supporting conferences and workshops, webinars, and making sure that we document the progress. But we need to do more. What more can be done? How can we take these programs to scale and these good lessons learned? We'd love to hear from you too. 1 million voices. Join us. It's time for the change. Let's end gender-based violence and empower women. It's time.
Big family. I'd like also to recognize Leon, an actor from Hollywood, and Bannerman, Mr. Bannerman from Restless Native. Please, let us recognize you. Very, very important. Thank you very much for coming. And there are 2 things about the closing. One is that to get the 1 million signatures and engagements, we do 2 things. Either we do the signatures or we count the number of people who stand up and raise the cards, because in Africa, it's not always easy to have an email account, or when you have an email account, you may not necessarily have the money to buy internet connectivity all the time. So we said engagement. So with that, I would like to say our next step is Africa Open for Business in September. At the margins of the United Nations General Assembly, we will be organizing a major event. So that I'd like you to save that date as of now, and you are part of the family. We look forward to hearing from you about how we can engage on Africa Open for Business. The second Tuesday of September, every year, the United Nations General Assembly opens, and then the Tuesday afterwards, there is a general debate. So that would be one point. And then the second and final point is that we are all going to stand up. I see David Katsiv there, our resident photographer and videographer and senior advisor. We're going to stand up with lifting up the red card, each one of us, and then the United Nations will take photographs for those of us who are in this room, because remember that this program is being webcast worldwide. So wherever you may be, please symbolically raise your red card as well, and let us all stand up and raise our own red cards. If you don't have a red card, please get one so that we can all raise the red cards to say that we say no to all forms of discrimination and violence against women and girls, and we are using the convening powers of sports. And if you don't have a card, Terence Coles can give you a card, everybody. So we want to use the convening powers of sports and culture in order to make sure that we give a red card to all forms of discrimination and violence against women and girls. Because sports and culture are the two universal languages. No matter what your background, no matter what your economic status, sports unites you. So we want to use that convening power in order to say no to discrimination, no to violence against women and girls, because violence against women and girls is a violation of human rights, and a violation of human rights against women is a violation of human rights against all of us. So please lift up your cards for the time for our photographer to take the photos, and this will count as an engagement towards the 1 million signatures that we're trying to collect by 21st of November 2022, when the FIFA World Cup opens in Doha, Qatar. You may be seated, please. And with that, I would like again to thank you for taking time out of your very, very busy schedule to come and celebrate the major event at the United Nations headquarters celebrating Africa. I declare closed the 2022 edition of Africa Day celebrations by the African Renaissance and Diaspora Network and its partners at the United Nations headquarters in New York. Thank you very much, and be safe.
All the women and girls have the right to be in this world filled with love. Ombemba lesanju, ochocha, chikale chiwa. Vuka, 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 Africa, vuka, vuka, vuka. You my brother and my sister. Pumelela, pumelela, sizo. Pumelela, pumelela. Pumelela, pumelela, sizo. Pumelela, pumelela.
Poderiam peça preciosa, um diamante. No tempo de mudar mundo, vamos no crer. Só nós que podemos é poder. Sente o orgulho de ser fêmea, é prazer. De falta não cair, objeto não cair. Nosso puro nunca brilha sem ver. De falta não cair, objeto não cair. Nos cruz quero pedir fé. Whether you from up north, whether you from down south, all we are one. Whether you from east side, whether you from west side, all we are one. I don't see you as my brother, I don't see you as my own. Make you see me as your sister, make you see me as your own. I can do everything where you can know. So make you not look it down on me, yo. I say I can do everything where you can know. So make you not look it down on me, yo. Just on my pillow, there's no more sorrow. Brighter tomorrow, call me your hero. Tears on my pillow, there's no more sorrow. Brighter tomorrow, call me your hero. Iwafejenva ukwagalira iteka tulatulye tuli baluganda obuntu bwe buwangwa. Welcome home. I can be black, you can be white. We are the same. Africa, Africa, we are the same. So I welcome you home. Let's share the same pot, sit down. Welcome, Africa. Africa, we are the same. Yeah.
We should focus on our matters so we can make them better. Queremos paz, proteção e amor. Dizer não ao sofrimento e a dor. É tudo acaba no contrário rally. É tudo acaba no contrário rally. If united we are, united we stand. We can be in this situation. If united we are, united we stand. We can be a stronger nation. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 This is now our time. Let us all stand up and love one another. This is now our time. Let us all stand up and be together.